What is going on, peacemakers, and welcome back to another video. So today's video, I want to talk to you guys about just enough faith. I have a lot of conversations with good friends of mine who are atheists or who live a secular lifestyle from God, and I love them all the same, but they bring up some amazing questions that sometimes I have difficulty answering, but not necessarily never having an answer for it. It is just simply a personal experience. It's not that there isn't enough evidence to support the claim of a creator. I mean, after all, this whole universe came into existence one way or another. And regardless of where you choose to put your faith in, whether it is money, fame, the ways of the world, family, or a God who was simply the creator of all of this, I think one thing is for certain. We will spend eternity somewhere. Now, why do I suggest that there is an afterlife? Why do I have any cause to believe that there's an afterlife? Well, I believe that there is an afterlife simply because of the things that I have experienced personally. God is a God of individual personality. He's a God of wanting to get to know you. He's not this, corporate style, deity that you have to go through the chains of command as some organized religions would have you believe. The God of the Bible wants to have a personal relationship with you. Christ wants to have a personal relationship with you. He died on the cross. He took an extraordinary amount of beatings and whips. He simply didn't do that so you would ignore him or fall asleep at your pew or whatever. He did that so that he may get to know you better. To my skeptics out there who have a tough time believing in something so supernatural, one thing that I think is extraordinarily overlooked is 1 Corinthians chapter 15:44. We've talked about this a few times, especially in my video of the supernatural. For every physical being, there is a spiritual being. Meaning that every single living creature has a spirit. And that means when there is a spirit, there must be an afterlife, or there must be another realm in which the spirits dwell in. Now, of course, I get that quote from the Bible. But is there anything outside of the Bible that gives us cause and reason to believe this? Well, my video on the supernatural and my testimony are two videos that have nothing to do with the Bible, but everything to do with my personal experience of the supernatural. God is an individual God. Not saying that he's not the creator of the universe, because he absolutely is, but he also wants to be personal. And if you choose to live a secular life from him, you're never going to meet him. If you keep switching the channel every time it lands on a TV preacher, you're never going to hear or know about who this man is or what this book is about. This book has never been disproven. In fact, it's kind of been the opposite, in my opinion. Now, I'm not just saying this because I drank the Kool-Aid. I believe in this for the simple fact that there's something in this book that proves its worth through the test of time that no other book compares to. So I leave it up to you. Have you done your due diligence? Have you tried to meet God, speak with him, ask questions to him, and listened? For me, it started at a very young age. I grew up in a Christian family, so naturally you grow accustomed to the traditions of Christianity. However, God being a personal God, it wasn't going to be these traditions where I met him. It was going to be in the suck. It was going to be in those moments in which you find yourself listening and paying attention. These moments in which we choose God or choose to get to know God is what helps us understand God. To put it bluntly, seeing is not believing, but believing is seeing. Now, many people will twist that around and say that you're seeing what you want to see. And it's not necessarily that I'm seeing what I want to see, it's seeing through the Spirit. One of my favorite proverbs, or one of my favorite quotes from Scripture, is, "He who has an ear, let him hear." Because it's not referring to those who are deaf. It's referring to those who are listening through their spiritual ears. It's those who are listening in the Spirit. And I think that for many of us, we have a tough time understanding what that looks like or how to do that because, well, we weren't really taught that in Sunday school. Instead, we're taught the historical values and the grace and mercy that the Lord can offer. But there is such thing as spiritual gifts that God gives unto every single one of us. The question is, which one do you have? Yours is going to be unique. Maybe not as unique to your family, but yours is going to be different in some way that is personable to you, because that's who God is. Very personal individual, personal being that wants to get to know you better. So, all this historical evidence that could absolutely win somebody over, knowing the knowledge of Christ was an actual person who lived, and the historical records of the claims of the Bible being prophesized and then came true, or vice versa. The Bible said this happened in a historical manner, and then archaeologists come together and find out that, hey, wow, it actually did occur. Such as finding the chariots in the Red Sea, or finding sulfur bowls near Sodom and Gomorrah. There are very significant evidence and claims that the Bible absolutely could be what it says it is. But nobody is ever going to listen to that until they take that moment of faith. God gives us just enough faith. He doesn't give us overwhelming amount of evidence. He doesn't give us overwhelming amount of supporting details that would prove his existence. Therefore, he would come into this universe and live amongst his people, which he will one day. The millennium of Christ is still something we have to look forward to. However, in this moment, I truly believe he's weeding out those who wish to live a secular life, who wish to live a life without God, and finding those who want to live a life with God. And then the question then becomes, why would I want to live with God? That is a good answer. There's a good question that deserves an answer, and you deserve it to yourself to search for that answer. Why do I want to live with God? Get to know him. That's the best that I got for you. Playing as though his existence isn't real isn't really going to get you anywhere, and it's only going to leave more questions than answers. Something that could absolutely proven to be relevant or helpful is asking the questions, but not rhetorically, seeking them as well. Many people play the fool in asking what they've referred to as great questions, but they mean it in vain. They mean it in a rhetorical sense, meaning that they don't want an answer to it, and there isn't an answer to it because they're not going to listen to an answer. The reason why many people don't want to believe in that there is a God is because they want to be their own gods who make their own rules. You can find this in Genesis chapter 3 when Eve is being tempted by the serpent. And the serpent says, "Ye shall not surely die, but ye shall have knowledge of good and evil, and ye shall be like God." That kind of thinking is tempting to somebody who doesn't know what happens after you bite the forbidden fruit. Just like it's tempting to follow a worldly perspective, to follow a worldly life, a secular life, for those who don't know what an afterlife is. God isn't going to give us overwhelming amount of evidence, and he's not going to come out and just say, "Here I am." He's going to give us just enough faith. He's going to give us just enough reason to believe in him. It's up to you if you want to make that decision or not. It's a personal relationship he's inviting you to, not a cult, not a tradition, not a religion, a personal relationship. I would never ask anybody to follow Christianity. Christianity has got a bad rep throughout the ages, throughout the years, throughout the decades, and a few centuries. Well, 1 century. But I promise you, if you follow Christ, if you follow Jesus and you try to fulfill the will of the Father, you wouldn't be disappointed. I'm interested to see where people go in their relationships with Christ, just like Moses, Abraham. The places they've seen and the places they've gone and the things that they've done. I'm curious to see what other individuals could do when they had Christ on their side, or when they go with the authority of Christ. It'll take you down some interesting paths, that's for sure. So I'm still on my adventure, as it were, to seek to bridge the gap between the natural and the supernatural. I'm curious to see what others have found along the way. I digress. Get to know God for who God is, not for what other people say about God, not the opinions of somebody else's God. Find out for yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next one.